As a matter of fact, God never intended for you to live by your eyes. Your eyes are the enemy of your vision. Why? Because sight is limited to the capacity of the eyes. But vision is limited only to the boundaries of your imagination. That's why the Bible says you must walk by faith and not by sight. Sight is dangerous.
Trust him.
I have come to teach you how to live with your eyes closed.
All things are possible to him who believes.
Your problem, son, is your eyes. Because your eyes always shows you what is. But vision always shows you what could be.
Why should it not be you in business? Why should it not be you in your neighborhood? Where are you in your journey? Where I am and where I'm going myself.
You've got to have a sense of meaning and significance for your life.
Faith is the substance of things what you can hope for, and it's evidence of things that your eyes cannot see. Power of vision. Write this down. Sight restricts you to the present, but vision releases you to the uncharted frontiers of the future. This church must be careful not to be so excited about its past.
So the criminal blames society for his misbehavior. When we have transferred our behavior to the society we live in, we are in trouble. We are a society of blamers. The sinner blamed the hypocritical preacher for his damnation. Stop transferring your irresponsibility on a preacher. The Bible says, work out your own salvation. If the preacher want to mess up, let him mess up by himself. You go ahead and live right.
Because your past can become your victim, and you become a victim of it. We become so attached to the good old days, we don't create new ones.
You don't exercise, and you eat more fat than you burn, so the fat stays with you. And then the doctor says, now look here, you're going to have to lose some weight because your heart is having to push this blood to new horizons. And we come on the prayer line, we say, pray for me, preacher. And the preacher says, Satan, come out of her. Lord, heal this woman. The devil is outside crying, saying, they always blaming everything on me.
The power of vision. Sight captures the present, but vision captures the future. And you were not born to live in the past and be stuck in the present. Because sight deals with what is, but vision embraces what could be. And that is why vision is so important. God always wants you and I to live according to the vision in our hearts, not the sight in our eyes. The founder of World Vision told a story once, and I was so impressed with this story. He said that a little girl, 4 years old, went with her father and mother on a cruise. It was their holiday, big cruise ship. And they went on this cruise. As they left the dock, everybody went up on the deck to look at the beauty of the water and the beautiful sky and all the ocean and everything. And after about an hour or so, the people were there talking about the beauty of everything. And the little girl was on the deck. She couldn't see. Very small, of course, couldn't see over the rail. And she began to become irritated. She became very angry. She began to scream and cry out and pull on her father's trousers. And her father finally picked her up, put her on his shoulders. And she could finally see what everybody could see. And she was so overwhelmed by the ocean, the vastness. She had never seen the ocean with that perspective before. Little girl. And she was so overwhelmed by the sight, she began to scream, Dad, look, look. And he said, what? She said, look. And she was pointing at the horizon, the ocean. And the father says, what? And she said, look there, look. And he said, what? She said, look, Daddy, look. He said, what? She said, look. He said, what? And by the time he was irritated, he said, what do you see? She said, look, Daddy, look. He said, what? She said, I can see farther than my eyes can look. That day, a 4-year-old girl defined what vision is. Vision is the capacity to see farther than your eyes can look. Vision is the greatest source of hope. You were born to see beyond your eyes.
Now let's expand a little further now. It's called the law of riches and wealth. In our own self-interest, if we wish to be rich and wealthy and prosperous and healthy and all the valuable things we can think of for the human experience, how could we get there? It's understanding the law of enlightened self-interest and the law of deserving.
Is it?
The question was asked in the Bible, how can we be great? What is the key to greatness? Great wealth, great return, great accolades, trophies to put on the mantle above the fireplace. How can we get great respect, great riches, great abundance for ourselves? How can we get that? And the answer was given, and here was the answer: find a way to serve. Find a way to serve the many.
The priority for a man is work.
So I paraphrase it to read this: service to many leads to greatness. Service to many leads to greatness.
It's very important the way you and I practice it.
Someone says, well, about the best I can do is take care of myself. That's okay. Self-care, has its own reward, but it's very limited. Somebody says, I can't be worried about other people's problems. I got enough problems of my own. That's okay. Self-defense is okay. Self-preservation is okay.
But
It has a very limited reward. If you wish to change that into abundance, and prosperity, and uniqueness, then here's what you must do. Help solve other people's problems. Help find answers for someone else, not just for yourself, but for someone else. And in that kind of service, you now begin the process of greatness. Someone asked the question, how can I be ruler over many? How could I manage a lot of people? How could I be the leader of a vast movement or enterprise? Here was the answer. Nothing wrong with that wish. We call that self-interest of the highest kind. Wishing to be the manager, the ruler, wishing to be presiding over. Many people, here was the answer: be faithful when the amounts are small. Be faithful when there's just a few. Be disciplined when there's only a few. That starts to entitle you to someday be ruler over many.
And that's why we're beginning with a self-assessment to make. What progress are you making?
You say, well, if I had a big organization, you know, I'd really run it with a strong hand and I'd be a fabulous leader. But I've only got a few and I don't know where they are. See, that's not going to work. If you wish to preside over riches, you must start when the amounts are small. Someone says, oh, if I had a fortune, I'd really take good care of it, but I've only got a paycheck, I don't know where it goes. See, not knowing where it goes disqualifies you now for presiding over the fortune. We've all heard that, right? I don't know where it all goes. Did you ever hear that expression? Oh, we'd love to have you run the company. You don't know where it all goes.
Some of you praying for things you can't manage. That's why you ain't got it yet. It ain't that God ain't hearing you, but you ain't qualified to manage it yet. Some of you praying for $1 million and can't manage a $1,000 salary yet.
Somebody says, it just gets away from me. Oh, we'd love to have you run the world, right? It just gets away from you? Somebody says, it's only pennies and it's only a few. Here's where you begin to qualify for abundance and riches and greatness and respect, is to be disciplined when the amounts are small.
If you are faithful over a little, then he will make you rule over much.
Someone finds it unique, right, that this many people would come and hear what I've got to say for a whole weekend. But this is not where I started. I started with just a few. But I was so on fire with the few, trying to translate for them in my awkward ways back then what had happened to me. My life got changed, my income got changed, my health got changed, everything got changed for the better. And now I've lived the most extraordinary life. But it started with my passion for just a few, to translate for just the few. Someone says, well, there's just a few here. You know, does this meeting matter when there's only a few? And the answer is yes.
Where are you in your journey?
Jot this down. You never know who's in the audience, whether it's a few or 1,000 or whatever. But you got to be faithful when there's just a few. Tell your story when there's just a few. Be just as passionate about ideas that can change someone's life when there's just a few. Now you begin, not fully qualified, but you begin the qualification to someday speak to many, someday preside over a vast crowd, someday be the manager or the leader of millions. It starts in those early days to deserve it.